Hey, everybody. I appreciate you joining us as always. You guys are phenomenal. You're the best in the world. You're watching the Richard Sherman podcast. But if you could do me a huge favor and hit that sub button, it would be greatly appreciated. You would do a service for your boy Sherm. And I tell you what, I got your back. You got my back. All love. News in San Francisco 49ers land is Brandon Aiyuk being put on the reserve, left the squad list. People been speculating what the issue's been after he was missing, not seen on the sideline, not seen on the sideline at practice for a couple weeks, and now we know what happened. He's left the team. I can't speculate on where he is right now. I don't know if he's gone home, if he's gone somewhere else, but they're saying he's left the team, and now you could get into a conversation about voiding guarantees, voiding some of the signing bonus that he's been given. We don't know how that's going to all shake out, but it looks like his time with the San Francisco 49ers is coming to an end. I have a hard time seeing a way to mend this relationship, to mend this partnership at this point from either side. Brandon obviously feels slighted and frustrated, and for the life of me, I could not understand why. They paid him a lot of money to play receiver in the National Football League. Obviously, you get injured, you feel frustrated. There was some speculation about him getting traded before he got paid. And it just seemed, it didn't feel right when it got signed in the first place. It seemed like a situation that was a trade was inevitable. He was unhappy. He was frustrated. He was venting. He was feeling away. It was one of those situations where you take all the San Francisco 49ers stuff down, then you put it back up and all that. And so it seemed like a split was inevitable at the time. And then maybe things mended a little bit and he got paid and everybody was happy. But even the way his injury happened, and I think he played 4 games and he got banged up and hasn't seen the field since. And everything that's come out of the 49ers camp it's been pretty negative from that situation. And I think when you get to the situation where everything's negative, every conversation, every interaction is negative, then it's destined to be a split. And I know people feel a way about, man, they voided his guarantee as soon as they could. The San Francisco 49ers did not want to void Brandon Aiyuk's guarantee. But and I know people feel a way about the training staff and all that because all the injuries, some of them are unavoidable. But you can train and you can rehab on your own. Nobody's against that. Nicholas John Bosa did it. He rehabbed on his own. Guys do that from time to time, and that's their right. But when you rehab on your own, there's certain expectations when you come back. And if you haven't been with the team the entire offseason, then there's an expectation that, hey, there's a report date for players that are starting the season on injury reserve, and there's a report date for teams players that are coming in healthy and competing in training camp. And when you're coming in on injury reserve, you come in about 4 days early. Nothing crazy. It's not 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's about 4 days, 5 days early. Just so they can check up on you and make sure nobody else is there to distract them away from you. Because when they get all these guys in, you get 90 guys in, it's hard to pay attention to the injured guys and get them situated in the way you need to. So in order to avoid that, they get the injured guys in there early. They get them in there early so they could say, hey, I'm going to take my time. We're going to diagnose where you are. We haven't had a chance to rehab you in the building. We're going to see where your knee is, how much atrophy, how much work we got to do before we can get you on the field. When they're paying you $30 million, when they're paying you anything in the National Football League, that's fair. That's fair. It's fair to expect you to come in early because you haven't been in the building. When you don't, they fine you. Hey, you don't come and you don't show up when you're supposed to show up. There are fines in the National Football League. And that was communicated. That's understood. When you show up when everybody else does, then there's issues. Then there's issues that come up because they can't evaluate you in the proper way. Then they finally get to the point where, hey, they've evaluated you. They see where you are. They start your rehab process. And then it's almost like you're holding yourself back because you don't want to show up for certain things. You want to go to certain things. You want to do things your way. and the team has a way of doing their own thing. So again, there's frustration, there's miscommunication, there's misunderstandings on both sides. But eventually, Brandon decided that he wanted to. He no longer wants to be with the team, and the team decided to take his bonuses and everything, and take his guaranteed money for the next year. Not that he couldn't earn it back if he played, and they continued their partnership, but that's what it looks like on that front. That's what I think happened, and it's unfortunate.
Let's talk about the next game here. Let's talk about the Houston Texans. You've already talked about them. I believe they're the hottest team in the NFL, let alone the AFC. I think this team might be the best team in the NFL, the way their defense is playing. Richard, you've been talking about them for the last month and a half. Their offense has been so-so, but now that they got C.J. Stroud back, I mean, let's talk about these Texans. How big of a threat do you think they are in the AFC right now?
They're a huge threat. They've won 7 of the last 8, and the one loss they took was to those Denver Broncos in a defensive battle that could have went either way. I think this is a team that's catching their stride at the right time, and I always trust a team with a great defense. C.J. Stroud was banged up throughout the season, and they found a way to continue to win. Davis Mills held down the fort. But Stroud is starting to find his rhythm. He threw for 260 and 3 touchdowns against the Cardinals team that hasn't been great this season. But they're finding their stride at the right time. And they play the Raiders, who haven't been great and look really awful and looked awful today, versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And you expect that they're going to factor into these playoffs. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them in the AFC Championship game in a weird year like this, where you don't have the top quarterbacks, you don't have the top teams that you're used to seeing in these situations, and you'll run into a situation where they run into a young team and find a way to get a win, find a way to make some plays down the stretch and get a win. It's going to be a lot of inexperience in the playoffs, so you really never know what could happen. But the Texans are currently the 7th seed. They've been battling their way to start the season 0-3, and to get to 9-5 with winnable games down the stretch where they could play the Raiders, the Chargers, who've been playing good football, 2 10-win teams, playing when they play the Chargers, the Colts with Phillip Rivers at the helm. I feel really good about this team going into the playoffs. If they get into the playoffs, they're going to be a tough matchup for somebody. And if you say, hey, the New England Patriots are playing the Houston Texans in New England, I'm not sure they feel great about that.
I'm with you. It comes down to defense. And bottom line, we've been talking about it the last handful of weeks. This team defensively, in my mind, is the best team in the NFL. You look at this team, you straddle them up against one of the best teams in the NFL. Put them against the LA Rams. I believe this team neutralizes that team. And C.J. Stroud, I mean, he's got a lot to prove. His sophomore slump last year is resonating in a lot of folks' heads. Let's see how he responds this year. 3 touchdowns against the Cardinals. Maybe he's on the right track. Richard, I like the Houston Texans. I believe they are that dark horse in the AFC that could take over. We shall see.